seeing all this beautiful mountain laurel behind me along this trail here. You never know what you're going to find. So I just want to share some of this stuff and just encourage you to get out, even when the conditions aren't right. You don't think there's anything out there. You just don't think it's worth it. Believe me, it's worth it. Get out, hone in your skills, connect ecologically, and just have a great time. Hi there. I'm a full-time landscape photographer, and I like inspiring people like you to get outdoors with your camera, create new images, and have an experience. So tag along on this drabbest of days. It's dull, dingy, cold, and overcast, but there's always something to photograph in your local woodland. So let's go. So what began as a simple hike turned out to be an inspiration for a new video, which I had not anticipated on doing. I don't have any of my video equipment. I have a camera, I have my little mission bag, and that's it. But this is a great video to share some of the shots you can make by just getting out into the woods. Get out more. In fact, that's the whole idea of this video. Get out in nature, get yourself out there, get moving, and just enjoy the experience. The freedom sometimes of shooting handheld is a wonderful thing. It's fun, and you just don't feel tied down. I'm not saying I'm opposed to using tripods. In fact, I actually favor using tripods because you can go a little bit deeper with your composition. You can take a little bit more time. You can make fine adjustments. You lose that advantage when you're shooting handheld. Now, there's something to be said about intuitive appreciation. That is, deciding when to stop and create a photograph. This is often based on emotions or a gut feel. And as photographers, we are more observant and we live in the moment. So when I came upon this grouping of mountain laurel, I intuitively believed I can make a relatively decent image, despite the dreary conditions. What I love about this image is the dark trunks of the mountain laurel. They work so well against the background behind it. It creates contrast and defines the lovely shapes and character of this calico bush. The evergreen canopy fills the frame back towards the trail while also bringing attention to its counterpart further down the trail. Just love it. I tried maneuvering to avoid this distracting branch, but all efforts would offset the compositional balance. I suppose I can remove it in post, but this hike was more about the spontaneity and capturing those raw moments while enjoying the freedom of shooting handheld. Very early on in the trail, but I felt something that made me stop. And when you think, well, I got the rest of the trail ahead of me, when you feel something, just stop. Don't think, well, maybe there's more of it later on, because maybe there isn't. There's not as much mountain laurel along the way. Most of it was back there. Now, there may be more straight ahead. I got a Y in the trailhead here. I have to see which way I'm going. Stand by. All right, that was just a matter of both roads lead to one. Just a quick little Y off that just merges again. The beauty of shooting handheld is that you don't have to worry about setting up a tripod. Is it worth the shot? You know, you can go deeper by just grabbing your camera. Traversing the higher ground with peaks and dips offers new opportunities for woodland photography. By shooting into a hill, you can remove distractions from the sky as shown here. As I began my descent, I saw this mix of hardwoods and mountain laurel. But more so, I can keep my camera level with the plane rather than shooting down to avoid the sky and cause distortion in the trees. And this was important for this story because by not having to worry about the sky, I can now include more vertical height in the frame for the trees. And vertical lines can be used to convey strength in photography. And this image hints at the trail ahead by including the diagonal boards leading into an opening further into the woods. The forest is messy, and these conditions aren't superb, but don't let that stop you from getting out. I had a wonderful time creating this image. It's not a portfolio image, nor was I expecting it to be, but shooting in drab weather can often be surprising. So it's December here in New England, and autumn is done. The first hints of more barren trees are pretty much ready for the coming winter. And as a result, it's a little bit more difficult to find inspiration and find images. That's one thing if you get a fresh snow, which as landscape photographers we all really enjoy, but it's quite another when you have situations like this. You really have to look, and then sometimes you find something but then it's too busy or too chaotic. And I see some pines here, a nice little grouping here, and I'm wanting to shoot this, but it's very busy. The foreground is tough. There's a fallen tree. I may take it anyway, but it might be a little bit challenging. And this guy right here is the problem, this fallen tree. And I just don't think it's gonna work in the scene. I like what's behind it. There's a nice stump right in here. So some advice when you're doing woodland photography is to try and eliminate distractions. And quite often the upper part of the frame in woodland brings in the sky. By raising your camera up like this, now the camera's above my head. You can point down a little bit and you can remove a lot of those distractions. It's very helpful when shooting in the woods. It's another good reason to have a tripod that has that extra height so you can put it up if you're shooting with a tripod. But I'm gonna actually step forward now, get a little bit closer to the scene. I can fill the frame with more of what's important to me, and then I can fine tune with the zoom, but I can get more detail now. I'm not sure this is working out. There's so much disorder, a jumble of chaos, and I find my eye wandering, looking for something to latch onto, but falling short. I thought it would help to include the large hardwood tree on the left, but even after cropping it out, I'm not seeing much improvement. I also tried cropping the sky, but now it draws more attention to the messy foreground. I think it's time to move on and find a new subject. That was quite messy. That was a tough one, but there was something there that made me stop my point. Case in point is that stop, take a little time, work the scene. You're honing in your skills. If you're not used to shooting woodland photography, you're stepping out of your box, if you will. All right, let's continue this hike and see what else we can find. And find I did, but this time by going deeper, or shall I say longer. This ensemble was calling to me. There was decent diffused sidelight to work with, nice separation between my subjects, and lovely depth between the foreground and background trees, which I chose to soften for more dimension. I love the hints of mountain laurel trunks on the left and a complementary trio of trees on the right side for balance. Furthermore, this scene has a raw, damp feel to it, but the floating evergreen branches bring some needed grace to these December woods. Just before emerging from the woods, I came across one last mountain laurel bush. This lovely scene was just waiting to be photographed. Well, there you have it. I hope you found this video inspiring, and I encourage you to grab your camera and hit the trails. Just keep it simple and get out there. No excuses. Just go. Well, that wraps it up. Don't forget to like and subscribe, leave comments, all that stuff, because that helps others like yourself find my channel, and you'll be doing me a favor. Thanks, everyone.